Sale joins us this morning on the Harbor One Hotline. Hey, Chris.
How we doing, guys?
What's going on?
Sitting here in sunny Southwest Florida, talking to some great guys over the phone.
Oh, well, we're delighted to have you on. I'll get to the big booty mix question later. But
I noticed the intro and appreciated that.
Yeah.
Oh, so he's a volume 11 guy.
But well, then you want to get right into it?
Well, I mean, Chris, they didn't understand that Big Booty Mix had a bunch of volumes. So, in my opinion, volume 11 is the GOAT. But I know, people have different ideas when it comes to that. So, which booty mix were you talking about?
Well, I'm glad that you brought that up because 11 is one of the go-tos. 11 and 18
All right,
are the two probably most played in our weight room clubhouse area. So
there you go.
But just fun, it's like the perfect. They're generally between right around an hour long. So if you need more than that, you can get more, but generally that'll do the trick.
Yeah, so that's really just what Major League Baseball needs is for you guys to adopt a new theme song, which is an hour long. It'll make the game longer. That would be a good thing for baseball, Chris.
That's what we're trying to do, right?
Chris, when you look at this season, and I think we've kind of talked about this before, is just the expectations that athletes put on themselves. And a guy like you who's considered an ace and looked at as being, we talk about it all the time, where this team goes, a lot depends on what Chris Sale is. How do you feel heading into this season? I know, physically coming off of the surgery and, having some innings where you pitched last year. What's your physical feeling and your mental state heading into the season on what you are putting on yourself?
I feel really good. Obviously, with what happened last year, that's a pretty good boost for us as a whole. To start a year ago, from where we sit right now, people were painting a different picture about us. And, obviously the team went out and did what they had to do. And then obviously when I came back, the guys were rolling and I was just trying to be a part of that. So building some steam off of that, building some momentum, there's not a single thing that we did last year that's going to help us, other than using that momentum of knowing who we are, what we're capable of, and just knowing what we have inside this clubhouse is something special, and we can do some damage with that.
Any idea when you'll be able to start throwing off a mound?
Off a mound, I don't know. I do know that I should start throwing probably sometime this week, if not early next week. And then from there, we just kind of ride it out, the throwing progression of, stretching it out, getting off of the mound, facing hitters, and then getting into a game eventually after that.
Chris, I know you said that you feel good and the MRI was pretty clean for you. How hard is it when it's something like a rib where you can't have a cast on it or anything like that to not put yourself in a position where you're trying to come back too soon? Obviously, you have a great training staff. I'm sure you see a bunch of doctors that can give their input. But when you feel good, how hard is it to not, push yourself too hard?
Well, that's actually a really good question because with this, I feel better than I actually am, is what I'm told. I'm going to feel like I can do things that I'm probably not supposed to do yet. So, for instance, I felt like about a week ago is when I really could have started throwing, and that's how I felt. I said, this thing's getting a lot better. I feel like I'm ready for this next step, and it's a good and a bad thing because it's good because I'm feeling better and it means that we're progressing. But, sometimes you feel a certain way, but your body's still not ready for it. And I think that's kind of where we were at over the last few days. And we're going to start transitioning out of that and getting into more baseball activity soon.
Will you stay in Florida or are you going to travel with the team to New York?
I'm not going to travel with the team to New York. I'll stay down here. I might meet the team when they get back to Boston, just for a check-in. But they're coming back down to Tampa right after that. So we haven't made really concrete plans yet. We haven't set anything in stone, but that's kind of we have some ideas.
Speaking of New York, what is the worst thing that you've heard from a Yankee fan as a member of the Red Sox?
Oh, I really don't know. I mean, as crazy as it is, like I'm amused by it, but I don't really hear it. You know what I mean? Like it's. I mean, I'm sure they say. I mean, you can only imagine. You know, I've seen them throw things at some of my team. You know, beer cans and things like that. But even if I did remember, I highly doubt I could say it over a telephone. I'm not on a radio show. But hey, they pay their money to go there and watch their team play, and if they want to call me whatever they want to call me, go for it.
Oh, I like it.
Chris, when you look at this season starting with a little bit of a lockout, and pitchers usually need some time to get going. What's the general timeline for a pitcher to where you feel like you are kind of hitting your stride?
That's probably different for most people. There's some guys that feel more mechanical, some guys that aren't very mechanical, some guys feel like they need 5 or 6 outings. Some people feel like they just need 2 or 3 outings. It kind of varies for everybody, and I think the more you do it, the more you kind of figure out what you need and when you need it. Plus, I also think with just kind of the evolution of training and what we've seen in baseball, guys are taking a lot more initiative in the off season with their training, with their specific focus on the needs that they didn't meet either the year before or something that they have coming up. Transitioning from reliever to a starter, vice versa, or whatever the case may be. There's a lot more training that goes on in the off season now, which I think prepares guys much better for spring training. Because there's not a single person here, or even over the last handful of years, anyways, that you talk to anymore, and they say, "Oh yeah, the first baseball I pick up is in spring training." Well, that used to happen a lot, years ago. But guys are, more focused now, so I think that's starting to become less and less.
Word that Major League Baseball is playing around with tech that would allow catchers to electronically signal pitchers. Would you be okay with that?
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of cool with whatever. I just want to play. That doesn't bother me. The reason why we have to do that bothers me more than the actual thing itself. I have a 11-year-old son who's about to be 12. I go to his Little League games, and no one is doing anything like that out there. And it's kind of nice. It's refreshing because it's like, okay, shit, this is how baseball's supposed to be played. Now, it's like we got the FBI, we got the CIA. We're training, in ghillie suit. It's amazing some of the things that the hoops that we have to jump through, but. Hey, it is what it is. It's part of the game, and you adjust and conquer.
Never mind worrying what comes out of the potty-mouthed Yankee fans. You just dropped the S-bomb right here on the radio.
That's the Ty Law
swear jar.
Well, I guess that just makes me as bad as them. Huh?
So, Chris, that's an interesting thing to think about when you say how the game has kind of changed differently. But isn't a part of, as a former player, isn't trying to look for the little advantages, whether it's stealing signs, and I know there's a line you don't cross, but isn't that really part of the game?
Yes, it's part of the game. But I think doing it the old-fashioned way is part of the game. Mm-hmm. If you just figure it out on your own during the middle of the game, or if you see a pitcher tipping, or if a hitter's doing something, or a catcher's doing, there's been some tactics, if you will, over the last few years that, it's out, it's come out in the media. And, those are the things that we're trying to combat right now. And, hey, like I said, it is what it is. You deal with it and move on.
Yeah, I mean, so you would be somebody who would agree with Beltran when he says that Astros World Series win is tainted then.
Man, you're asking me some good questions at 7:55 in the morning, man.
Guy's just trying to have his coffee, and
Well, I mean,
I don't drink coffee. I'm just trying to enjoy my water, man.
he's the one who said it.
I don't know, man. Here's the thing, and I'm going to give you my honest opinion. If the Astros were the only team doing it, then yeah, give it back, take it back. I know for a fact they weren't. So, you all these people pointing fingers. Well, hey, take a check in the mirror real quick. Make sure that you and your team weren't doing something. What they did was wrong, and I'm not trying to condone it. But I mean, shoot, we're talking 5 years ago now, and we're still talking about this stuff. I'd like to kind of turn the page on it, but it happened. They dealt with it. There's nothing you can really do about it now, sitting here where we are. So you just kind of move on from it.
Okay.
Chris, when you look at the difference between just a few months ago and now, between the players and owners and how that all played out with the lockout, once it was over, do you think that it's helped with communication moving forward inside of in a clubhouse? Are players still talking about what all went down, and do you think it's opened more conversation maybe than what you guys have had in the past when it comes to ownership?
Yeah, I think. Well, no, we're not talking about it much anymore. The first few days, first week or so, it was a hot topic. But for me, I did two things. I really appreciated the camaraderie and seeing us as a union, as a group, as one. All players across Major League Baseball being one together. That was really cool to see, and how involved everybody was. And that was really good to see. And then on the other side of that, I think once we got to spring training, it was like you go through all this stuff, and it's there's a lot of friction over the off season, and you get to the end of it, you get a deal done, and I think most guys were just appreciative of that, just getting it done. And every single guy I talked to was like, man, we just want to play baseball. We're not business people. I say this a lot, but if we were smart, we'd have real jobs. That's why we're ball players. So we just want to play baseball. That's it, And I think guys were just so appreciative of having that back that, it was easy to kind of get it done and push it to the side.
Chris, like one of the things that you kind of talked about is just like the game, and I think one of the things a lot of fans, especially some of the younger fans, is like the pace of the game. What would be some of the ideas like or things that you would want to see done that maybe could speed up the game? Are you in favor for like pitch clock, or are you in favor for eliminating the shift? Are there specific things that maybe that we don't even know about that players would like to see happen in the 7-inning doubleheaders that they'd like to see happen in baseball?
Yeah, I don't know. I think a little bit of that pace of play is a little dramatic. I mean, really, guys, are we talking about if we could make the game an hour and a half? Then yeah, we're cooking. But the difference between a 3-hour and 18-minute game and a 2-hour and 58-minute game, you're not going to notice that, or it for me, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So pace of play really would be something if we could cut like an hour out of the game. If you're talking about knocking 12 minutes out of a 3.5 endeavor, like you're kind of talking about, pennies at that point. But for me, I think the biggest thing is just throw the ball, hit the ball, catch the ball. I know guys have routines and I'm not very sensitive to those. If you're on the mound, get the ball and throw it. If you're in the box, when was Velcro invented? Why? How come we can't figure something out to put Velcro at once and we don't have to redo it every other time? I think the responsibility honestly falls just on the players playing at the time. Pitchers cleaning off their cleats, saying a little prayer, rubbing up the ball and fixing the dirt, fixing their hat, checking their hair. Hitters, unvelcro, doing all these different things. Stay in the box, stay on the mound. If you step out of the box, it's a strike. If you touch the grass, it's a ball. That's my idea of speeding it up. But like I said, I'm a very simple person. I'm a ball player, so don't hold me don't hold me to court on these things. But I just think get the ball, throw it, step in the box, and hit it.
Chris, though, you mentioned earlier in the interview that you have a son who plays baseball, and you're around kids who the attention span is a nanosecond. So if it is 18 minutes, they could cut off the game. Hell yeah. I mean, that's 18 less minutes people have to change the channel. I feel like the current players are doing such damage to the next generation of players by being so slow to fix such clear needs in terms of the way the game is being broadcast.
No question. No question. Because I watch Little League Baseball 3 times a week, man. And, I mean, I got 5 pitches getting thrown in a span of, 18 seconds. And it really is just that. Like, once you pitch the ball as a pitcher, the catcher's going to catch it. He's going to throw it back to you. What else do you have to do out there other than pitching? So and I see it. So the little guys, they're not thinking about how cool they look or who's watching them or their necklaces getting tangled together or whatever. We're here playing baseball, and they catch the ball. He stands right back on the mound, comes set. The batter doesn't even get out of the box. He's just standing there ready to go the whole time. And those games are quicker. And I just think that like the pitch clock, I guess you brought up earlier, I think those things would help. But again, like I said, those are my opinions because I don't really have routines, and I would be okay with, hey, get the ball and go.
Chris, when you look at a reasonable number of guys who have an uncertain future here, whether it's Bogaerts or Evaldi or Devers, any kind of a feeling on this team that this is a last kind of run with this group of guys at a World Series?
No chance. I understand the nature of the beast and the business that we are also around, but I'm just going to say it. We got to keep Bogey. We got to. And I truly believe the Red Sox will find a way. And with Raffy, they obviously have a couple more years with that. Nate, I don't know what else I could say about him, but I mean, he's held it down. I mean, you look at what he's done since he's got here. He helped us win a World Series. He's only been really, really good for us ever since then. He's been the ace of this staff for three plus years now. And having to deal with things as they come and being a leader of that group. So he's another guy. I mean, I understand your question, but I think that we have enough guys around here that know what these guys mean to this organization and what they mean to the success moving forward. And maybe I'm wishful thinking. I obviously have a biased opinion because I've played with these guys. They're friends of mine. They're brothers of mine, and I'd love to see them stay. And so I'm just going to go ahead and say we're going to keep them all.
All right, if Chaim Bloom is listening.
Yeah, he's listening.
I'm going to manifest that.
I mean, did like for the Story deal, the Trevor Story, did that surprise you based on kind of what is said about the way Chaim builds teams from within?
Chaim's been a GM for what, like 2 years? So we know exactly how this guy constructs a team. I mean, you're giving this guy 3 moves in a chess game, and you've just figured his whole game out.
All right, Chris.
Seriously, think about that. When was he? Well, it was 2020 was the first year, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And that wasn't even real. And then 2021. And then this year. So this guy's got 2.5 cracks at it, and you guys already know exactly his hand, right? Y'all are great. Well, maybe y'all should be the team.
Yeah, right.
I'm joking around, but one thing I do know about Chaim is he's very methodical. He's not gonna do anything that he hasn't thoroughly thought out and talked with his people about. You know what I mean? He's incredibly smart. He's incredibly genuine, and so no, I wasn't surprised. He did his due diligence on a great player with a great track record, and hoping for a bright future as well. So I wasn't surprised. I was thrilled, obviously. So I guess to answer your question in short, no, I wasn't surprised just because he's a smart guy and he got a good player.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, this is the last one for me. I don't know how much you follow some of the other local teams, but you did talk about the Major League Baseball Players Union, and I think that you guys have the best union in all of sports. Jaylen Brown, who's very active in the NBA Players Union, who plays for the Celtics, talked about it's no one's right to know whether or not guys are vaccinated. And I know you guys dealt with that a little bit last year. How do you feel about, players saying, hey, listen, I shouldn't have to tell the media or tell anybody whether or not I'm vaccinated or unvaccinated?
Ooh, another good question. At least it's past 8. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, right? And that's the beautiful thing about the country we live in. You're free to make decisions on your own, mostly. You're free to have thoughts on your own. And I just think we're in a really weird time right now. I've never, growing up, it was never an issue. I never had some of the questions asked to me about some of these things, but, hey, it's popular right now. It's something that is prevalent in the news. It's been prevalent in the news for a couple of years. So, me personally, clearly I'm very open and honest about where I'm at with everything. So, it doesn't bother me at all. I do think it's weird. It's a weird thing to want to know or feel like you have to know, or for someone else to want to know about someone else. But hey, different strokes for different folks. It's not me, but if it is for someone else, that's their prerogative. That's their right. So I don't care, but like I said, I do think it's kind of weird for the want for it, I guess, about other people.
Well, when you look at it specifically about the Brown situation, and I think this is ridiculous. There are some, if he is unable to play, for instance, if he's not vaccinated, he would be unable to play in the playoffs should the Celtics take on the Raptors in Toronto. Would that be, in your mind, because I think it's ridiculous that it's called this, but would that be a selfish thing on the part of a player?
Again, everyone is entitled to their own opinion of that certain situation. The old saying, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Some people think that, it's the most important thing, and other people don't even think that it's on, the radar. So, hey, how can you tell me what food tastes good when I had it and I like the taste of it, kind of thing. So you can't really tell other people how to live their life or what to do. And I don't see it as being selfish. I think it's kind of a silly rule, but again, that is my opinion. That is not, that's just how I feel. That's what I think. So yeah, I think you make the decision that's best for you and what you think, and you roll with that, and whatever happens, and you better be ready to deal with those consequences.
For me, by the way, the food answer is all of them. Taste good.
No, we deal with that all the time. Greg always tells us what's good and not good.
In case you were wondering. All right. Well, listen, we can't wait till you get back.
Yes.
I'm sure you feel the same way. And I'm really glad that you took the time with us this morning. It's always great having you on the show, and I hope that we will have you on again once we get into the season here. So looking forward to Thursday and looking forward to you being back in Boston.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, Chris Sale,